Hey guys, what is going on? Dylan here. Got another build for you for Season 23. This is going to be a Stasis Hunter build. Mainly going to focus on dust-filled grenades and renewal grass. So renewal grass increases the size of effect for the dust-filled grenade. It allows you to have higher damage resistance while standing in that area. And then also enemies do reduced damage as well. So how we're going to use this build is I mainly try to get that powered melee out first and then follow that up with grenades, that dust-filled grenade. You can use these dust-filled grenades offensively or defensively. So if you can see there, I have resist ×3. That is because I'm standing in that area of effect and also by a crystal. If you're standing by a crystal, you get resist ×1. If you're standing in just the dusk field area, you get ×2. If you put those together, you get ×3, which helps tremendously for some survivability. And then basically, yeah, your powered melee gets you grenade energy. Breaking crystals gets you grenade energy. And then the weapons that I would pair this with, as you can see here, I'm using a horror story. I have that with headstone and demolitionist. The new trace rifle from this season also gets headstone, and also the pulse rifle from the dawning event gets you headstone as well. There are also tons of other weapons that give you headstone, so it's kind of a personal preference and play style. Any of those weapons will be fine, but basically breaking those crystals puts out shards. Those shards give you your melee energy. Breaking a crystal gets you, as you can see there, I have the improved ability regeneration, which gets you back grenade energy. So it's mainly just one of those builds that you use just to spam abilities and freeze a lot of things. And you can, again, as I said, you can use it defensively by throwing a dust-filled grenade at your feet and using it for survivability. Now, what I actually ended up finding out was I was like, well, I wonder how Verglas Curve would work into this build. Because initially I was just using a weapon with headstone. And I know this takes up your primary exotic slot, so there's that. But this thing with Hail Barrage, you get so many explosions. Verglas Curve, I feel like, is a very underrated exotic. I don't see a lot of people talking about it or using it. It works beautiful for this build. It's amazing. You can hit opponents directly, and they instantly get that freeze. Or you can... you know, put the crystals everywhere, and you'll just have that higher damage resistance all over the arena. And that pairs really well with just using your melees, using your grenades, standing inside that zone so you don't take as much damage. You can see, like, the explosion there basically wiped out that entire arena. But that, again, does take up an exotic slot. If you were to use a legendary weapon with headstone, that does give you an exotic slot like Winter Bite, or really, honestly, the options are kind of up to you at that point. But you can use any exotic. Now, I still would recommend Verglas Curve for this, and then you can use something like a Cold Comfort or a Fire and Forget, Bump in the Night, whatever sort of stasis weapon you want, and I would recommend those stasis weapon surge mods because of just all the orbs you're going to be creating. So let's take a look at the build itself here. So we got Silence and Squall, obviously. We're going to be using the Marksman Dodge. Unless you're using Verglas Curve, then you could probably use Gambler's Dodge. That's more of a personal preference depending on what you want to do, because if you're using like a rocket launcher and you want to use your Marksman Dodge as during a damage phase, it's kind of up to you at that point. But if you're going to use Verglas, I'd probably use Gambler's Dodge. Triple Jump, of course, the Withering Blade, and then, of course, the Dustfield Grenades. For the aspects, we're going to be using Grim Harvest, which gets you melee energy by picking up the shards. And then Touch of Winter, which basically increases or improves your dust-filled grenades by putting a stasis crystal inside of that area. For the fragments, we're going to be using Whisper of Chains, which gives you damage reduction by standing next to a crystal. Whisper of Rending, which gives you more damage against those crystals. Whisper of Durance, which increases the duration of the freeze or slow effect. Whisper of Shards, which gives you grenade energy back for breaking a crystal. That's a big part of the build. And Whisper of Fissures, which makes a bigger explosion for destroying those crystals. So definitely try this one out. And again, use this. That's why I would recommend using this Verglas Curve, because you can use this defensively and offensively. Now, as far as the mods go, Stasis Siphon, Stasis Surge, and then basically Bomber, all the different mods that get you grenade energy back or melee energy back. So doing damage with your melee gets you energy back, doing damage with your grenade, and I would strongly recommend Verglas Curve with it. But again, this kind of a loosey-goosey sort of build where the options are really up to you. But I would strongly recommend using Stasis Siphon and Stasis Surge mods as well. So let me know what you guys think of the build. Go try it out. I love y'all, and I will talk to y'all later.